Greetings, everyone. This is Sister Crystal here with Classic Hip Hop Storage Box, and I want to give a happy belated 50th birthday to Lisa Nicole Lopes, better known as Left Eye, who was born on May 27th, 1971. I want to give a happy belated birthday in remembrance of Lisa Left Eye Lopes, who would have turned 50 years young this year in 2021. I have to do this tribute to my girl, Left Eye Lopes. Recently, her family redid her headstone in honor of what would have been her 50th birthday. Lisa Left Eye Lopes is the oldest of three children. Her younger brother, Ronald Jr., and younger sister, Raina, who is nicknamed Raindrop, held a intimate ceremony where they unveiled the beautiful headstone in honor of their big sister. In addition to the beautiful pictures that were added to Lisa Left Eye Lopes' headstone, there were some beautiful inscriptions, personal notes from the younger brother and her younger sister. And also, there was a note included from her mother. It is just very beautiful. There was a nice crowd that had gathered around in honor of the unveiling. And it was just a beautiful, intimate ceremony. There is a video floating around here on YouTube. So feel free to watch that video and kind of see some of the footage for yourself of this unveiling of Lisa Left Eye Lopes' new monument, her new headstone in honor of what would have been her 50th birthday. And here is a look at her old headstone. It was still a nice headstone, very beautiful headstone. So this is the headstone she's had all the time, since her unfortunate passing on April 25th, 2002, up through now in 2021. This is the original one, and it was a beautiful headstone. That's the main one. And now we've got a bigger and better one in honor of her 50th birthday. And so this is another picture, another look at it of her newer one. So, yeah, very, very beautiful. Now, in honor of what would have been Left Eye's 50th year on earth had she lived, I also want to share some little known facts about Left Eye. Now, in 2005, around 3 years after Left Eye passed away, T-Boz and Chili began filming for a show called Are You the Girl? The show was initially promoted by the UPN network as a contest to replace Lisa Left Eye Lopes. However, both Watkins, T-Boz, and Thomas Chili clarified that the winner of the contest would not be joining TLC full time and would not be a full time replacement member. The winner would only provide guest vocals on a new single by TLC. I know that's right. T-Boz and Chili, they jumped out there real quick, like, hold up, wait a minute. We are not replacing Left Eye. Left Eye cannot be replaced. There is one and only one Left Eye. We are not replacing her. They jumped out there real quick. Now, I don't know if they had to wrangle with the network or whatever for them to jump out there and say that. And I'm like, I'm glad they clarified that because I was actually upset too. Because I remember back then, I'm like, oh my God, they said that that was their sister and she only been gone for 3 years. How could y'all? How could y'all try to replace her? And I was thinking, I'm like, well, shoot, Left Eye does have a little sister. What about Little Raindrop? I was thinking crazy too, but they like, nope, we are not replacing her. So I'm glad that T-Boz and Chili corrected that real quick. So the series, it was a one season series. It had like a total of 9 episodes. And the season finale was aired live and featured the two final contestants, which were Oh So Crispy and Mariah Faye Parker. The 20-year-old choreographer from Atlanta, Oh So Crispy, was ultimately chosen as the winner and performed the single I Bet with T-Boz and Chili on the series finale. So Oh So Crispy was chosen as the winner to perform the song with them, but that was a one-time thing. And I wasn't surprised that they chose Oh So Crispy as the winner because I believe both T-Boz and Chili said that Oh So Crispy did have some qualities that kind of reminded them of Left Eye a little bit. And I agreed also as I was watching the show. So one more thing about Are You the Girl? Okay, so T-Boz and Chili, they were doing their tryouts or whatever in early 2005, right? So they had like a application process online. So you was able to go to a website and to try out. So I wasn't gonna try out, but I went to their website because I just was interested in like the application process. So I went on there, clicked on the application, and their application was very interesting. It adds some really interesting questions about the girls, like are you in a relationship? What type of relationship do you have with your family? And it was asking like almost like kind of personal questions, which I'm like, well, you know what? That makes sense if you're trying to fill out a person to see if they'll fit. If you're going to go on tour or something like that, you kind of need to have a personality profile of the person. And till this day, T-Boz and Chili, they still find ways to try to incorporate the spirit of Left Eye into their shows. I've seen a more recent interview that T-Boz and Chili did with an interviewer, and they were saying how they try to incorporate Left Eye's like poetry because she was more poetic. And so they would try to incorporate some of her poetry, and they also would try to incorporate some of her like spoken words and stuff into some of their performances. Though they find ways to try to incorporate her and try to keep her spirit. And above all, just the fact that they're still here. Of course, Left Eye's spirit lives on in them. And I would say this, T-Boz, if you guys have never heard T-Boz do her Left Eye impersonation, you have to hear it. T-Boz does a spot on impersonation of Left Eye. She has her right down to the T. Now, Left Eye had many talents. In addition to her rapping skills, she was a producer, she was a musician, she played the keyboards, and she also was good at fashion. T-Boz said one of her favorite gifts that she ever received from Left Eye was a custom made pair of jeans that Left Eye gave to her as a gift. Also, Left Eye was a mentor and did production for the girl group Black, who's best known for their debut hit single 808, which was released in 1999. And when Left Eye hosted a show in the late 1990s called The Cut, which was a show that helped discover new talent, many of the outfits that she wore were designed by her uncle. Now, I have to say this, I mostly tuned in to The Cut not for the talent, even though it was a lot of talented people on there, and I liked a lot of the guest hosts that they would have. They would have a lot of guest judges like KRS-One. I think they had Cisco from Drew Hill. And they had some record executives there too. And what I really liked about The Cut was that even if the act didn't make it, the judges there gave them real feedback that the artist can take and go back and be stronger. And so, what I liked about watching The Cut, I really tuned in to see what Left Eye was wearing. And I remember her uncle saying he loved designing for her for Left Eye because she was so easy to design for because she was so tiny. She was so little. I know she was barely over 4 feet tall. I think she wore a size 4 shoe. I guess that's in men's. Well, not really men's because that's a boy's size. So that would be like a size 6 for women because men's shoe sizes is like 2 sizes bigger than women's anyway. But Left Eye was just so tiny. So I really liked seeing her outfits, and they really went all out. And I know that Left Eye had a hand in designing some of those outfits too. So it was great. It was fun watching her on that show. Also, Left Eye is the only member of TLC to have released a solo album. In 2001, Left Eye released an album entitled Supernova, which had a lead single entitled Block Party, which she did a video and everything. The video was released. However, the album Supernova was only released overseas and not in America. But somehow, some way, the album was leaked online, and so a lot of people still got a chance to hear it. And this was back during the days of Napster and LimeWire, and these are file sharing websites that really are file sharing services that allowed people to share their music files that they had online. And this was in the early days of the internet, so all you had to do was just have a file and people was able to get your files and everything. I remember just kind of deviating a little bit. Now, Left Eye Supernova was only released overseas. And so a lot of times with the file sharing thing, and I'm just saying from, what I saw, depending on how far away the file was, it can take an entire week for you to get a song. But this was the early days. People didn't know. You just freely shared files and all that. So that's probably how the album got leaked on there online. And a lot of music got leaked. And that was the early days of streaming music. People would copy their own the CDs that they had in their CD collection down to their little computers that they had at home and in their little files. And then, people can get to the files and they were sharing the file sharings. But no, but that's how a lot of people was able to hear music from overseas and things that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten a chance to hear. But this was back in the early days, back in early 2000s. And as people learned more, those streaming services were stopped and people learned more about you don't want to have your files openly shared because people can get to your computer and all that kind of stuff. But back then, we didn't know about any of that stuff. Also, in 2001, Left Eye was a guest on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. She went on there for charity. She took a guest on a question about the Danny DeVito movie, and she said she didn't even watch it. She guessed it. She guessed right. And so she was up at $64,000. And she ended up walking away with $32,000 because when you get to a certain point, you don't leave with less than that. And the charity that she was playing for was a foundation that helped Black men. And of course, who can forget Left Eye's famous interviews, especially her one interview where she was doing with TLC, the TLC Behind the Music, the VH1 Behind the Music, where she was breaking down how a group can sell 10 million albums and still go broke. Like she broke down how her and TLC were getting like 7 points an album. She broke down what a point was. And after everyone else had their hands in the pot, TLC was left with nothing and were forced to go bankrupt. So she really broke that down for us. And that's what I loved about Left Eye's interviews because she would tell you the truth, honey. Like even when she did that situation where the house got burnt down and everything, she talked about her experiences when she went to the halfway house and she shared about how they would have you when she got locked up Well, they would have everybody stripped down, and she even talked about how they would spray some stuff on your private area to spray you for crabs and stuff. Left Eye went into a whole lot of detail, and that was one of the things I really liked about her interviews because she would tell it. She would go into great detail on in her interviews. She didn't do a whole lot of interviews, but when she did, you learned a lot, and she did not hold back. She certainly did not. Also, and this is a big one. Not like the other ones weren't big, but this is the biggest one, y'all. Okay. So, back in the early 1990s, when TLC first came out with Ooh on a TLC tip, Left Eye had invented a device that would allow women to go to the restroom standing up. I remember seeing a news report about it in the early 1990s, and I don't know why I will not ever forget hearing about it because I heard about her doing this device before it was around the time they was getting bigger with Ain't Too Proud to Beg and all of that. But I guess this was something that Left Eye was really passionate about because I'm gonna tell you, when you go to these big events and you will see the restrooms for men and women, the restrooms for the women are always the line is out the door, and so it's like, dag, how come the line is out the door for the women, but when it comes to the men's restroom, you hardly see much of a line. So I guess it inspired Left Eye to make this little device to allow women to go to the restroom standing up, but she didn't get around to getting a patent for it or whatever. I do remember hearing about it. So if anybody can remember that, anybody else, and I'm saying this, I don't know if Left Eye's family will ever see or hear this video, but if anybody would, just I know I remember hearing about it. So yeah, just the mind of a very creative person, and she's definitely missed, and that's why I had to get this out even though her birthday was a couple of weeks ago on May 27th, and I'm doing this in June. I definitely have to couldn't let 2021 pass by without giving a tribute to Lisa Left Eye Lopes. And here are some rare pictures of Left Eye. Now, one of them, the picture of her eating the crab on the tour bus, that's my first time seeing this picture. Now, the other picture of TLC with Criss Cross, I haven't seen this picture in a long time, and I wanted to include that one on here. And this last one is the pic of Left Eye in the pajama top. So, what's interesting about this picture is this is the same pajama set, I would say, because it's a top and a bottom that she was buried in when they had her funeral services back in 2002. Also, right before Left Eye passed away in 2002, she was working on some schools or learning facilities for the children of Honduras. And so, to sum it up, Left Eye was a multi talented, very compassionate woman who cared about people and cared about her environment. And she cared about preserving the environment. And even though she only was on this earth for 30 years, she did more in her 30 years than people more than twice her age. She would have been 50 years young had she lived today in 2021. So, what do you guys think? Thinking back with the summing this up, are you the girl? Like, did any of you audition for that show? And then what did you think? And also, everything else that I said about Left Eye. Was any of this new or surprising? And what do you guys have to add? Feel free to write in the comments. Also, I want to give my condolences also to the family, friends, and fans of Left Eye. She will always be missed. She will always be in our heart, and she is immortal because of all the beautiful music and everything that she has left behind for us to enjoy. So this has been SistahCrystal with Classic Hip Hop Storage Box. Like, comment, subscribe, And until next time, take care.